What is up, YouTube? NIO actually reported its earnings report very recently, and they also had their earnings call. And the earnings report and the conference call by NIO gave us some really good insight on what NIO is doing today and their future plans in terms of EV infrastructure, expansion, potential future production numbers, and other services they're planning to develop. And so in today's video, we're going to be talking about the important things NIO revealed and discussed. So first, let's talk about their Q4 financial results, which some people were very happy about and which some people were disappointed about. So the quarter 4 of 2024 NIO is October, November, and December. So over this 3-month period, NIO delivered 17,353 vehicles, and in December alone, they had 7,007 vehicle sales. So before we get into the revenue NIO got from selling these 17,000 vehicles, what you have to understand is there are two aspects to NIO's vehicle sales. So a couple months ago, NIO integrated something called battery as a service, where a customer can buy the vehicle but lease the battery, decreasing the price of the overall car. So basically, they're just using the leased batteries from NIO and swapping them out at the NIO battery swap station whenever they have to. So this decreases the car price for the customer by $10,000, and these are for all 3 vehicles. However, in order to lease a battery from NIO and use their battery swap stations to swap your batteries whenever needed, you have to pay for a subscription-based model called battery as a service. And so the customer has to pay $150 per month every single month for this service. So this is recurring revenue for NIO. So with the battery as a service model, the upfront revenue NIO gets from their customers is a lot less because they decrease the price for NIO cars by $10,000. But over the lifetime of the vehicle, the battery as a service subscription model will lead to more revenue as a consumer buys the vehicle and pays NIO $150 every single month. So let's talk about NIO's revenue numbers in quarter 4, when battery as a service was actually adopted by over 50% of the consumers, and obviously it varied month over month. In October, I believe it was 40%, but then in December it was closer to 60%. But on average, you could say the adoption rate for the battery as a service model was about 50% by the consumers. So in quarter 4 of 2020, NIO reported revenue of $1.01 billion, which actually beat analyst expectations by very little. But nonetheless, they did beat expectations. And overall, NIO's revenue is growing really fast, as they had an increase of 133.2% from the fourth quarter of 2019 and an increase of 46.7% from the revenue in quarter 3 of 2020. And majority of this revenue did come from their vehicle sales, which accounted for $946.2 million. And this segment of the business is also growing extremely fast, and their vehicle margins are actually pretty good at 17.2%, which has increased a lot from quarter 3 of 2020 and last year 2019. And the margin for NIO is that for every $100 they sell, they basically get $17.2 back, and that is the ratio. And even though NIO cars are worth thousands of dollars, this ratio is the same. So 17.2% of the revenue is their gross margin from their vehicles. And their gross profit from quarter 4 of 2020 was $175 million, and this is a huge increase from quarter 3 of 2020, and this increase is due to their increase in vehicle margin. So basically, the cost to make the vehicle has decreased substantially, which increased their overall gross profit. But gross profit doesn't mean net profit or loss, because a company still has many more expenses like research and development, and with NIO being a high growth tech company, they do have to spend a lot on research and development. And this is where a lot of investors were disappointed, because NIO did beat on revenue expectations by little. However, they missed very badly on earnings expectations. And this huge earnings per share miss is not completely NIO's fault. So NIO was actually expected to post a loss and not be profitable, and the expectations by analysts was for NIO to post -9 cents per share, but they actually posted -14 cents per share. And one reason for this huge difference is actually not NIO's fault. So NIO's cash is actually in Chinese yuan, and the yuan actually underperformed the dollar, and so when they converted the yuan to the dollar, there was a loss shown on NIO's earnings report. And because of this huge miss, the stock looks like it's down close to 10%, which I think is an overreaction. And personally, I'm actually very happy with the earnings report right now for NIO. I'm focusing more on revenue growth than earnings per share. And I'm actually even more bullish on NIO after this earnings report and earnings report call, because they showed us some really good things about their production projections over the future and their expansion plans, plus more. So now let's talk about NIO's production numbers, its future production numbers that was put out by the management, its expansion plans, plus more. So in January of 2021, NIO delivered 7,225 vehicles, but this dropped a lot in February as they delivered 5,500 vehicles. And this isn't actually a big deal because the vehicles delivered were less in February than compared to January because production came to a halt amid the week-long Lunar New Year holiday, so there was demand but there wasn't enough supply. And the CEO of NIO said he does expect the company to deliver close to 20,000 to 20,500 vehicles in Q1 of 2021, and January and February is already over. And so the combined deliveries for these 2 months is 12,803, and the management again did say that in Q1 they'll deliver close to 20,000 vehicles, which means in March they will deliver close to 7,200 or 7,700 vehicles. And that will be an all-time high for NIO because right now their current all-time high is 7,200 and they're projecting either 7,200 or 7,700 in March. So now let's talk about the future projected production plans for NIO put out by the management. So right now NIO has one plant and it is a joint venture with JAC in which the management said they could probably produce 7,500 vehicles right now. And the management actually said the production would be even more, closer to 10,000 vehicles if the company, like other EV companies, wasn't facing chip shortages. And this is just with the one plant, and they also said they could eventually push this to 150,000 vehicles for single shifts, and if they do work day and night, they could probably push this to 300,000 vehicles per year, but obviously this won't happen now, it will be a few years down the road. And also we know that they are in rumors and they're probably building a second plant with JAC Motors, and they are in a deal with the Hefei government to build an EV industrial park which NIO can use for production as well. So I think NIO's production numbers will be very high very quickly. And NIO's management also briefly talked about the ET7 when it comes to production. They basically said they're going to have to maximize as much production as possible to fulfill the demand for the ET7 because it is oversubscribed to. And so based on what the management is saying, I'm assuming there are huge orders for the ET7, and so if they do reveal the pre-orders, I do think this could be a potential catalyst for the stock. And finally, we're gonna end off with NIO's expansion plans and plus a mass market car. And so there were rumors for NIO to enter Norway and other European markets for a very long time, and it has been confirmed in this earnings call. So during this earnings call, the CEO was asked a question by an analyst about the expansion plans to Europe and USA. And the CEO responded saying NIO is ready for operations in the European market, and they set up everything from teams to knowing how to actually sell vehicles there, and they're probably going to enter the market in the end of 2021, and the first market they're entering is Norway, and I got this from various news articles. So NIO is only a few months away from starting to sell its vehicles in Europe, which is very good news. And what I'm assuming is they'll first start shipping their vehicles from China to Europe, and then they'll set up their own factory eventually. And when it does come to expansion in America, it does seem like NIO is a couple years away because right now they only started business strategies, but you never know, they could probably enter in the next 1-2 years. But realistically, my timeline for NIO to enter America is 2023 to 2024 because I think they're going to try to ramp up production in China as much as possible, and then Europe, and then enter the American markets. And finally, the same analyst who asked about the expansion plans also asked about a mass market car, and the CEO replied with NIO is a luxury brand and they'll probably stay a luxury brand, but they are looking for ways to enter the mass market. And I think they plan on doing this by creating another brand that will be owned by NIO but that will be selling mass market cars. And before I end the video, I just want to say I did miss out on one extremely important point that they did talk about, which is their EV infrastructure, but I did talk about that a lot in other videos, which is why I decided not to talk about it in this video. And so with this earnings report, it wasn't extremely great, but it was good, and I think the market is overreacting to it, and based on what was said by the management, I'm very confident in NIO. And I'm still very bullish on the company's long-term outlook. And with that being said, this was just a quick video on NIO and their earnings report and conference call and my thoughts on it. And if you guys did enjoy the video, please do leave a like and subscribe. Also comment down below what videos you'd like to see, and thank you for watching.